Good afternoon, Chairman Brewer, members of the committee. I'm Steve Reese, spelled Steverise, and I live in Plattsmouth. And there's advantages to going towards what I think is the end of the proponent speakers, and that a lot of my lines are crossed off now. One question: why is the problem not going to fix itself? We've heard that over and over, and it's because we have this nightmare situation in which the people and organizations running the broken system are fully vested in keeping it that way. I've seen the federal government from the inside for nearly 40 years now. It's an enormous, complex system, which is not a bad thing in itself. But if you add in a self-destructive process in which growth is rewarded, but not efficiency and not effectiveness, you have a recipe for disaster. Just think, when was the last time a federal office or program shut down voluntarily because its work was done? It rarely, if ever, happens, and usually you need a big hammer, a big forcing function like BRAC or sequestration to make it happen. We're here today, you've heard the testimony, we're here today because we've had enough of this immoral arrangement in which we borrow money from our children and grandchildren because we can't live within our means. We know that part of the solution is that strong forcing function, that hammer, to limit terms and have spending constraints on our federal government. And why can't we simply send good people? We've heard that. It's because the corruption of the system and the power of incumbency are just too strong. You've already heard the numbers on the debt. I won't go over them again except for one that has not been mentioned. You've heard the promised debt, our future debt, which has already been obligated. Each of our shares, if you are a taxpayer, good thing you're sitting down, $1.3 million is each of us as taxpayers, our share of that promised debt. And what happens when we can no longer borrow from our children? We haven't talked about that yet. We talked about, could it happen? The answer is yes. What happens when it happens? Automatic spending cuts, indiscriminate, by necessity, have to target the largest programs. What are they? Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, defense, along with everything else, but those are the big bill payers. In a best case scenario, this means that those on Medicare, Medicaid, Social Security, and other federal programs are likely to suddenly find those programs significantly cut, and that's the best case. The interest on the federal debt is expected to exceed $500 billion a year within 5 years. That's $500 billion in revenue that does not go to repair our roads, bridges, or educate our children. Congress will never, ever propose that their own power be curtailed. It's up to us to do that, us the people, and us, the state of Nebraska, to do that. I ask for your affirmative vote on LR 14 in committee and on the floor. Thank you.
Thank you for your testimony. Let's go back and just double check. The interest, you said, was the $500 billion?
The interest right now, yes, Senator, is about $400 billion. The numbers out to 2026, which is only 5 years away, are up at $490 plus billion is the estimate.
I'm here live in Philadelphia at the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier. When you hear the phrase lives, fortunes, and sacred honor, these are the folks we should think of, those who anonymously gave their lives. Well, today you have a chance to volunteer. You need to volunteer for conventionofstates.com, the movement that's going to save the country. These folks are willing to step up and give everything. We need you to give just a little bit. Go to conventionofstates.com and volunteer today.